Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So I'm at the training pitch. I want to say thank you to everybody for being so patient. Last week I know I didn't upload a video, and the reason being I actually sprained my ankle. Thankfully it wasn't too bad, but I just needed a week off to recover. I am training with Omar today. He's just running late. We arranged to meet at 11. The time is 10 past 11, so I'm gonna have to find him. He's at the vending machine getting himself a Gatorade. I'm gonna have to double his fine. That'll be a $50 fine. Pay the man. How you doing, bro?
There you go.
A lot of you do ask me, I'm low on confidence, I'm good in training, but when it comes to a match, I kind of panic on the ball and things like this. So if you're only training by yourself and you're really good technically and everything like that, but when it comes to a match, you're panicking. The reason being is because there's also a mental stimulus during a match as well. When you're training by yourself, just dribbling in and out of cones, you don't have pressure from anything else going on. So it's a lot easier to focus. But during a match, you've got to be checking your surroundings. When you're receiving a pass, not only do you have to worry about your first touch, but worry about your first touch taking it away from your opponent. So some of these drills today, you can take away, work on them with one of your teammates, and it's just going to make you mentally sharper so that when it comes to a match, you're going to be more prepared and you're going to find yourself not panicking on the ball as much. So it should be a really good session today. Let's get into it. So I'm just going to throw this out there and say that this is by far the best training session that Omar and I have done together. We incorporated some really good drills in this, some that are going to take your game to the next level, really challenge you physically and mentally. So you're going to want to write some of these down. So we began the session as always with our dynamic warm-up. Then we moved into the first technical portion of our warm-up. So it's just a simple passing drill to warm up our feet, but we also incorporated a bit of a mental challenge in with it as well. So I'm actually leading this drill. So all I'm doing is feeding the ball into Omar with one touch. Then as the ball is mid-roll towards him, I'm calling out a number. So if I call out the number 1, he has to return the ball in 1 touch. If I say the number 2, he has to return it in 2 touches, and so on and so forth. So not only is this a great technical warm-up working on those clean passes, but it also works on a decision-making element as well, because when the ball's in mid-flight and your partner calls out a number, you have to process that information quickly and make the right decision accordingly. So this really applies to the game. You're going to have to make decisions all the time and process information really quickly. Then we did the exact same thing, but this time actually throwing the ball in the air. So this one was even more difficult because when the ball's mid-flight and you're calling out a number, you really have to adjust that body. If you're coming on to prepare to volley it back first time, then suddenly your partner calls out 2 or 3, you then have to take that first touch in the air. So definitely adding a lot more of a mental challenge to this technical warm-up. And trust me, even though it's a very simple drill, try this one out with one of your teammates and you realize it's a lot more difficult than it seems. Try and leave those calls as late as possible so the brain has to work overtime to process that information as quickly as possible. You're not doing your teammate any favor if you're shouting out the number before you've released the ball in the air. You want the ball to have completely left your hands before you shout out the number, so they're really having to work on their mental sharpness and adjust to the decision making, and it's going to benefit them more in a match. Then we moved into another passing and decision-making drill, adding even more of a challenge element to it this time. So what we're doing, we're passing back and forth. I'm leading the drill, Omar's doing the work for this set, and what we're doing is just passing back and forth, and if I say man on, he has to play the ball back to me first time, just like he's got to play it on his back, so he's trying to keep the ball. But if I say a colour, as you can see, we've got 3 gates there. We've got a yellow gate, a red gate, and a blue gate. So if I call out a colour, he has to take his first touch towards that gate. So the key is, with the player working in the middle, is to be checking their shoulder at all times, even when I'm passing and saying man on, so that they're always aware of where those coloured gates are, so that when I do finally call out the colour, they've already got it memorized in their brain, so they can take the first touch towards that direction. If you're always aware of your surroundings so you can be more efficient with your touches, you're going to be a much more effective player. So the key is to call out the colour mid-flight, so the player has to react to it and make a decision. But the player working in the middle with every single pass, as you can see, always checking over your shoulder, really ingraining it in your brain where the different colours are. This is what you need to be doing on a pitch, scanning the field at all times, knowing where your teammates are, so if the ball does come to you, you've already got different passing options ingrained in your mind so you can play them a lot quicker. I do get a lot of questions asking me how you can make decisions a lot quicker on the pitch, how you can improve your awareness, and it's doing things like this. Drills that are going to improve your mental sharpness, but also just developing the habit of checking over your shoulder at all times. Even if you're training with no other players and you're just passing off a wall, just checking your shoulder every time the ball is in mid-flight towards you, that's just going to develop that habit that will translate over into the match. Then we did the exact same drill, but this time we're throwing the ball in the air so that the player working has to return it with the inside of their foot on the volley. Also checking your shoulder each time in between each rep, and then as the player calls out the coloured gate, you're getting the touch on the ground, taking it towards that gate. You're going to receive passes at all different angles in a match. Sometimes you'll get it on the chest, at the thigh, in the mid-flight. So if you can take your touch out the air and be efficient enough to take it in the direction you want to go, it's just going to serve you so much better. You can have a lot more time on the ball. It's going to give you more time to pick out the next pass, or it's going to allow you to get a shot off. It's just going to make the game so much easier for you if you can save yourself time. And then we moved into a final exercise, the exact same drill, but this time taking the touch with the chest. So as you'll notice, as Omar calls out the colour, I'm trying to actually angle my chest, square it towards the direction I want to go. So that's the key here with all of these first touches, is to angle your body in the direction that you want to be travelling. You're going to save precious seconds that are going to make you far more effective and efficient on the ball.
Keep working, good. Turn on. Red. Man on. Move. Man on. Red. Good. Man on. Yellow. Man on. Blue.
Then we worked on an even more challenging decision-making drill. So what we're doing is playing the ball at the wall, so it returns it to us, and then our partner's standing behind us with a cone this time. So up until now, we've been working on listening to our partner's commands and reacting off that. This time our partner's staying completely silent and using visual cues to guide us. So as you can see, I'm playing the ball, and as it comes into the square, Omar's either holding the cone up to the right, to the left, or above his head. If he holds it up to either side, I've got to take my touch to that side. If I hold it above my head like this, you've got to turn and play a 1-2 with your partner. So this is really forcing you to having to check over your shoulder. Instead of listening to the commands, you're only reacting off what you see when you check over your shoulders. Then we worked on a tight control dribbling drill, and I absolutely love this one. So all we're doing is starting at one gate, dribbling towards the opposite gate, so down a tight channel, and our partner's just firing balls along the ground, trying to distract you, hit the ball, hit your feet to try and put you off balance and dispossess you. So the key with this one is you have to keep your head up while you're dribbling. I see too many young players when they're dribbling, their head is down and they're not checking their surroundings and not seeing what's going on with the pitch. So this drill is really going to force you to keep that head up, keep tight control of that ball, and react every time a ball comes your way. As you can see, I'm always moving from side to side, trying to make myself a hard target. So that's what's going to translate into the game. If you dribble in just straight lines all the time, it's going to be very predictable. But if you can move either side, it's just going to be a lot harder to defend. So as you can see, wait until the last minute, just dodging those balls. Sometimes the ball's hitting my leg and I'm just trying to keep balance and keep going, retaining possession of that ball. Omar did a good job there, really firing them in close, but I got my chance to have my revenge as well. So not only is this working on your dribbling and control, but also the person firing the balls working on your passing accuracy as well. I think I finally got Omar at the end, but he did very well to keep his balance throughout that drill.
Yes!
Then we moved into a final touch and passing drill. So we moved into one of the smaller pitches that had surrounding boards so that we could have a flat surface to ping those balls in. So all we're doing with this one is we're working on opening up our body. So we're firing the ball at the wall at an angle so it comes between those cones. Then we have to take that touch outside the cone and return it. Then we moved into another passing drill. So this time Omar's leading it. So I'm having to mimic everything Omar does. So if Omar receives the ball and takes his touch to the left, then my touch has to go to the left. And then I'm playing it back at the wall so it comes between those cones. So it's a bit of follow the leader, so I'm having to react on what he does. He's trying to catch me out if he can, and then we can only do it in 2 touches. So working on a bit of awareness, bit of decision making, and also some technical work as well. And this is very tiring after you do it for a minute and a half at a time. Then we worked on a final 2-touch drill, and this is an excellent game to try out with one of your teammates, one of your friends. Really works on that tight control and you're trying to catch each other out. So we've built a square here with 4 cones, and the ball can only travel through the square straight. So it can't go diagonally through the cones, it can only go in a straight line. So there's 2 options, as you can see. It's got to go either from the side or forwards like we did just there, or to the side, so that you have to take your touch diagonally to set you up for your next pass through. You only get 2 touches, and the key with this one, you're trying to offset your opponent here. So make it seem like you're going to take your touch one side, drop the shoulder, and then take it to the other side. So it really works on that sharp touch, you control, and you're trying to catch each other off guard. We had a really good rep this round. We went for probably a minute, but it's good that we went for this amount of time. The legs are really burning at this point because we did a lot of short, sharp work today, really putting some pressure on those calf muscles, those short, sharp checking in and out movements, staying light on our toes. But this is the stuff that's really going to help you in a match. Always being light on your feet, checking into spaces, having clean first touch, and being efficient with your touches. So as you can see here, this is about the time where I believe I mess up my touch. And as you can see, absolutely knackered at this point. Went for a long time, legs are burning. But that was a really good round, lots of good quality touches in there. And that was the end of the session. Alright guys, really good session there with Omar once again. These little things are going to be the difference between making you a good player and a great player. So make sure you take some of these drills, work on them with your teammates, with a friend. Also want to mention my new footwear. So as you can see from the bottom, these are actually turf. They don't actually have studs or anything on them. These are the Mercurial Superflies. I actually think part of the reason that I injured my ankle was because I was wearing the incorrect footwear. These are for firm ground, but because there's no kind of give on the outside, when I put all my weight on here, it kind of locks into the ground. But with these, because of the rubber sole plate and the ground is actually got rubber in it as well, when rubber rubs against rubber, it creates friction, but because it doesn't have those firm ground studs, it's not going to lock your foot in when you're trying to push off. So make sure you're wearing the right footwear, and I know I'm not always a great example of that. Sometimes I'm wearing firm ground on here. A lot of boots these days are hybrid, so they're half firm ground, half artificial. They're really ideal for this, or wear turf shoes, and that's gonna really give you a better chance of coming away from that training session or that match avoiding injury. Pro Direct Soccer, check out the link in my description if you want to get these. But if you did enjoy today's video and you want to see more videos like this, make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button for weekly training videos, and I will see you guys in my next video.